Okay, so let's start where we started off last week, trying to show tension patterns and how they throw off our balance and how we are, how easily we end up having to compensate one way or another. Oh wait, I was going to turn this around. So we compensate, get you guys some better lighting. So let's go back to this first one here and go ahead and get yourself relaxed if you need to. Well, you do need to quite follow what I'm pointing to here, but hopefully you're practicing enough that you can kind of find that spot more quickly now. So you find yourself, relax, rest. And I fire a muscle, my whole structure has to, in order to stay relaxed, my whole structure has to shift so that the weight is centralized. Equal and opposite reactions, right? This is Newtonian law. So if I fire this way, this deltoid, things get pulled off. I fire this other deltoid back and I find myself centering. That is the essence of posture right there. You cannot help but fire muscles to stand. And what's going on is they're all in this dance of balance. Oh, well, I don't want to go too far that way. Right? And we end up caught in this balance between opposing tensions, whether we want to or not. Now, I'm not using the word tension meaning extra tension right in this moment. I'm just referring to muscular tension necessary for movement at all. A little bit of a difficulty around that word on that point. Let's do one more contrast exercise and look at this form of tension again. This time, I'm not going to be relaxed in my body. I'm going to hold myself here in the center. So if I want to fire this guy and be in the center, I have to hold myself. There has to be something that fires here and tenses through my whole structure so that that can be out of balance with the rest of me. And you'll notice I'm still sinking my knees a bit as that happens. That's just my body trying to compensate as relaxedly as possible while I do these things that are hard. I'll try and be more stiff about it. So stiff-kneed, stiff-centered. I'm going to stay put. And I can feel how I have to have tension through my whole body to stay there. Core, legs, knees, everything tense, 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 tense. Feel that out a few times. Feel out, what does it mean to let yourself rest one way? Oh, counterbalance with a single muscle. This is the easy way in terms of relaxation. And it's what we're doing all day long in our actual posture. The front balances the back, the sides balance each other. And then there's, I'm going to be tense so that I can hold a shape like this. And again, I'm firing my abs a lot more than I would have otherwise. I feel a lot more pressure in my knees. Quite unpleasant for me. I've studied soft energy so long that immediately is unpleasant. So that contrast exercise there shows us that we can use tension to make, to compensate for things. I want to hold my 50-50 weighting in my legs, so I do this. Or I can do it the softer way and do this, but who walks around with their arms out all day long? So all my point here is that we've got tensions that draw us out of alignment, are the unhealthy tensions. They're the ones we want to get rid of. The alignment we are seeking to develop is our skeleton. We're trying to learn how to rest into that so that there's almost zero in the way of excess tension. Ideally zero in the way of excess tension, but realistically very few people get there. So again, if you look at this contrast exercise again, if I lean forward, extra musculature has to fire. And if I relax that muscle down, boom, I stand right up again. If I lean back, extra musculature firing. Let it go and it drops. So we're trying to learn how to center ourselves on our skeleton. Now, this is incredibly difficult for me with my broken skeleton. I cannot help but compensate all day long for what's going on. And deep relaxation is a much harder game for me to attain because my thigh is an inch and a half. It's basically 2 inches short. So we measured it recently and it's almost 2 inches short. This thing's about a little bit over an inch, and I can feel this hips down a bit, and this is about maybe an inch and a half. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm not really capable of doing that per se, but what I do is I try and use the all of the exercises that we do in Tai Chi, Bakwa, and Aikido should be trying to help us develop our bony structure and our soft tissues into a proper alignment such that we're just resting as we stand. We're just resting as we walk about. And you'll know that you're getting there with your tendon changing exercises when you drop into it like this and you go, oh, I don't feel like I have to, I don't feel like I have to hold tension to make the posture look proper anymore. At first, when you're doing any of these exercises, there's this sort of like, okay, I've got to hold this here, and there's this muscular exertion that comes along, and it's this extra muscular exertion. We're trying to use that extra muscular exertion to create a healthier posture. So that's the tendon changing side of it. But when you're walking around in everyday life, you can't be going like this all day long. It would, who has the time? Somebody attacks you and they say, wait, let me get in my stance. You don't have the time. So you have to have a way of being that is already put in place. And the way of being, again, there's sort of two modalities. One is the tendon changing, and we're trying to develop a healthy posture that we can fully rest into. And then on the other side, we've got what we're trying to work with in this video series, which is movement quality for everyday life. And my first point would be, first of all, you don't want to hold this all day long. You don't want to lock in your gut all day long. All that stuff just wears you out, and it's not restful. You want to learn to get to the point where you just rest on your skeleton. So that's how the tendon changing relates to what we're trying to get to. Coming back to this tension versus relaxation paradigm, I hope you're seeing that we can use tension to do all sorts of things. We can use tension what I should say is we can use tension to do the things we want to do. But my argument is why. You're going to find as we work through some of these exercises that it is so much easier to be soft. Okay, so I hope that little contrast helps. Let's switch up and let's just look at the beginning of the next exercise that we'll dig into a little bit more next week. So go ahead and put your feet together at about a 40, not even a 45 degree, yeah, maybe a 45 to each other. I don't think you can quite see me in there. That's okay. Heels together, nice, comfortable, natural spread to your toes. And I want you to feel the point of rest in the middle. And I want you to feel the way you're swaying. That story right there, that conversation that's constantly happening, is the relationship of you turning on tensions and relaxing them. As you lose balance, I swayed over this way a moment. Do I pull up and push back to get to center? No. Instead, here's what I want you to feel. The sensation of just dropping into the center. So just drop into the center. The center of the center of the center. And the dance emerges as I sway slightly in relation to my breath, and especially because I'm talking, gesturing with my hands. There's a lot more sway in my body. But as I sway to one side, I don't say no to this shape that's happening over here. Push back. That's not the path. Instead, as something comes out of balance, This time I'm coming this way. Instead, I'm going to kind of say yes to that center of the earth thing again. And if I sway a little bit too far back, instead of saying no to what's coming up back here, there's extra tensions emerging, I'm going to say yes to dropping my perineum into the center. Center of the center of the center. And just feel that over and over again for the next few minutes. How you're resting on a relatively narrow point with your feet this together helps draw this point out. How can you stay as relaxed as possible? And when things start to sway too far in one direction, how can you say yes to the center? Rather than no to the edges. No is going to have a lot of extra push and tension that emerges. Yes has this sensation of like, oh, I'm falling too far. My hips and center just say, and I sway back to the center. Feel free to deliberately contrast the two, maybe seek out the edges of the space. How far back into my heels can I go? Saying yes to the center. Oh, here comes a bunch of no. Relax it down. Yes to the center. How relaxed can I say as I get off to the side? Yes to the center. And it has a sensation of relaxation, of a sensation like everything releases and rests downward through the pelvic floor and into the center of the earth. Come over too far. Yes to the center. If I get really far off into a spot, let's see, I'll find one. I'll get way over here. I'll have just a little bit of extra reach from here. Like I lengthened this subtly to make that yes to the center happen. So going back to that lengthening quality that we want to have developed somewhat already right in here. I get too far off to the side and it feels like I'm going to fall apart. Then I, yes, here, and my knees bent a little too. Explore your edges. Explore how released and relaxed you can stay as that sway happens. And play around with these contrasts for a week or so, and we will build on that next week.